Damn shame I'm sitting here in front of a computer, but this phone takes better video than my PC does. So, we the people. We the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and ensure and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and to our prosperity. Do ordain and establish this Constitution of the United States of America. I remember having to memorize that somewhere in high school. Actually, maybe middle school. I believe it was middle school. We were needed to commit that to memory. I can remember thinking, do ordain. What kind of word is that? Fail forward. Well, I don't know if this is failing forward or not. This is the best I got. I'm not going anywhere. Constant harassment has led to some pretty serious medical issues. And I've come to the conclusion that my neighbors were honeypotting me, mother and daughter, and then now that you've used that to shame me, shun me, persecute me, prosecute me. Well, I've been prosecuted, but man, I'll tell you what, you've really spun me for a loop. But I don't believe in any of it. And you thought that I was going to, act on it. What, do you think I wasn't there? You think you're going to convince me of something that I wasn't there, just like you did when I was in that fraternity? So there's you that wondering what this has got to do with QAnon. It's all about QAnon. That video, the very first video that says this speech will get Donald Trump reelected, is my words. And for the life of me, I can't understand why that my voice keeps continuously being suppressed. Repetitively, over and over. But that's not going to make me stop. Whatever I got to do. I have some ideas about getting this video out in other manners. I just contacted Joe Rogan today. I've also contacted Tucker Carlson in the past. See if anybody wants to hear the truth. You're not getting the truth, Tucker. You're getting a version of the truth, a different narrative. But I've seen your news reporting and how you use sarcasm and slander and you're just as bad as the rest. Most of us Americans are really tired of the name calling. I did vote for Donald Trump today. Got my patriotic sticker here somewhere. I must have left it in the car. Mr. Trump, President Trump, I support you. Whether you're supporting me or not, boy, that takes a That definitely takes some wondering. But I'm not leaving. Whatever this is intended to be is going to go down. It's a movie. It's a movie. It's a movie. Conspiracy theories. Keep baiting me into false promises and fake thumbnails on YouTube. I've been kept in a constant state of hypervigilance for almost 4 years now. This is that death by 1,000 cuts, and it does have an effect. It creates this cognitive dissonance that does not go away no matter how much you sleep. Sleepy Joe, huh? American patriot. You support the veterans? Sleepy Joe. It's real nice. The cognitive dissonance and the hypervigilance, the anxiety has led to my stomach tightening up to the point where I've already had high blood pressure before this, and I now have an aneurysm in my aorta going into my stomach. 4.2 centimeters. At 5, they went to operate. But I hear a couple of different stories. One says it wasn't there on your last CAT scan, but obviously it was, since the nurse and my doctor had already previously spoken to me about it. It's just that the VA decided to just not tell me. I don't know. You know, you've isolated me. I forgot to add that in there. My boss doesn't call me anymore. My daughter doesn't want to talk to me anymore. That fraternity, Tau Beta Iota, can eat my ass. I am not interested in them at all. So if you're wondering where the Q parts about the fraternity and where we go one, we go all, and all that, this whole Q movement has been trying to make me reconcile with the men who all gang raped my wife. And when I went to the police, now, I'm not trying to blame the police here, because I was in some, God knows what, I can't even remember what the hell I told him. I was in shock. I was somewhere between anger and crying. And the guy just told me to go get a lawyer. Didn't even want to talk to me ever. And of course, I'm probably leaning in that direction. Saw him at a convenience store while getting cigarettes. And God knows what I babbled off to the man that day. And then when I say man, well, he was a young cop. Confused him, I'm sure. For those of you that said I'm a traitor, that's right, a traitor, and a liar, or a Marxist, or oh my God, calling me Obama. You know, eat my ass. I'm not betraying anything. I am sticking loyal to my family. My family. With my 2 children that were there that day that you all did that with my wife. You lied to her. You told her I was leaving her. You betrayed me. I didn't betray you. I was joining an organization that I thought was going to lead into the Freemasonry, so that I could, in fact, one day try to, improve myself. Be a part of a brotherhood where I could take my promiscuous wife around and you guys wouldn't fuck her. Whatever. What a little child I was. Decades later, I still think about murdering you. But I'm pretty passive. You left me with nightmares. Nightmares. For decades, I murdered you every time I went to sleep. It got disgusting. I was psychotic. I'd go to sleep. I would look forward to going to sleep, because then I could murder you over and over and over and over and over. I joined the army. That saved your life. But the overall thing is I'm pretty passive. I'm not going to ever hurt anybody. But that doesn't stop my head. But I don't sit here and plot it out. And when I'm awake, I just keep on moving. I don't think about it as much today as what I once did until this shit started. You're trying to push me into a forcing. I mean, what in the hell you're bringing up Jesus Christ, and did you think that you were going to use my name and the second coming of Jesus Christ to as if it was in the book of the Bible? Or, I don't remember what book it is in the Bible, but it's the one where I've heard a few different interpretations on this, where it was either his wife that was cast before him, or a prostitute that was cast before him, and he drew a line in the sand, or he drew the names of the people in the sand, and let he without sin throw the first stone. Look, I'm not interested in forgiving. Okay, I like Christians. I like Christian values. I believe it's important to forgive. I also believe it's important to not let bullshit like that to go unchecked. We're not living 2,000 years ago. I had a wife. I had children. You were there. You saw them. And to the man that stopped one day and said they did something to my children, I have no idea what you're talking about there. Yeah. Yeah. If you know something I don't know, then that should come out too. But I'm not interested in your brotherhood at all. In fact, here, I've been considering this dramatic moment of epic moment, high energy moment. Just hold on. Oh yeah. What is that? Yeah, let's get a good look at that first. Yeah. See that? See that? Just make sure we understand each other. There'll be no reconciliation with you gentlemen. None. Children. Children. Save the children. Unless they're my children, huh? Fuck my life. Fuck my life. Fuck my life. See if we can't get the rest of that. Make sure that this is said once. Said and done once and for all. Just watched a show today on YouTube and talking about Bohemian Grove, Joe Rogan's show. The information that's being presented to you there is factual. Factual. These fraternities across the United States, they're all gaining dirt on each other so that when it comes down, whenever somebody needs somebody to do some sort of favor or a lie or underhanded moment, they're doing it to each other everywhere. Anybody that's a part of those Freemasonry or the, I don't know, it extends to all the brotherhoods out there. In fact, I believe that this possibly, who knows what this could lead to for my life and my children. I'm just one person going up against a 2,000-year-old death cult. It's not just America that's got this going on either. This is worldwide. Of course, it's kind of like Harry Potter and those schools. Each of them having their own little factions going on. Sororities are involved in it too. Don't kid yourself. This current system of gynocentric attitude is being also placed on purpose so it emasculates men, and the whole getting rid of beef and the whole nine. It's about turning men into those little punk ass purple hair wearing bitches. To those who I have most loyalty to, and that's not the one guy, Captain Forehead, fuck you. Did it ever occur to you, Captain Forehead, that the shit that went down with my neighbors was being planned? Did it? Did it ever occur to you that the fraternity was possibly in on all that? Because I still don't understand what the fuck that was about. And try to blame me, a mother and her daughter? Wow, I got game. Yeah, man. Yeah, I got game. Oh, and by the way, before anybody wants to go with pedophilia and all that, everybody's an adult here, okay? Make no mistake. There's no Bill Cosby going on. I was the only person that was trying to stop anything and had been for weeks, months. I don't know about months. Close, over a month. I mean, when you go to the person's mother, say, I think your daughter likes me, and she's like, oh, well, she's an adult. She can do what she wants. And I'm like, well, she's pretty young. I mean, I got kids older than her. Oh, well, you're lost. Sorry, I got confused. All right, and I still never, ever, not even once made a pass at her. Not once. I really don't want my neighbors involved in this. They're good people. They're just stupid. People make mistakes. My subsequent behavior after that was never anger at them, not even for an iota. It was anger with myself for allowing that shit to happen. And just like every other time that I've made a mistake, I ran to a bottle to try to get those memories to go away. Then you turn around and call me a narcissist. Man, Jesus, H fucking Christ. Narcissist. Let's go back to the Jesus story. Did you really think that you were going to use my name as to bolster another generation of like miracle Christians and things? Listen, like I said, I consider myself to be a Christian soldier, whether I want to be or not. Overall, I find myself feeling more of a Roman than I actually do a Christian, and there's good reason for that. I have done my due diligence and my research upon the book and have found answers that found the answers. Why they built pyramids? It was because it flooded and they needed some high ground. And if not only just for them, it was for the animals that they couldn't save because they didn't know when the hell the thing was going to rain for 40 days and 40 nights, which probably is closer to 4 months. But, there's a lot of speculation. At any rate, When it rains like hell, you got to find a boat or some kind of high ground, and therefore ark was built because of the previous floods, and same way with the pyramids. It was a means of trying to have an emergency plan. Emergency plan. Not a lot of speculation needed to go there. When Moses parts the Red Sea, it's not about a Red Sea whatsoever. It was about Roman soldiers or Greek soldiers. I'm not sure. Um, the Roman soldiers, I believe, parted, allowed Moses' people to walk through, and then when the Pharaoh sent out his army, the chariots took off after him. They were separated from the main body of the army. They took out the chariots, and then the Romans began to, because they had better weapons, began to take over and kill off the Egyptian army. Wow, such a... I don't want to mock anybody. There's a lot more revelations to the Bible if you really want to hear them. Angel, the Illuminati. Inside the army, you have different ranks, and inside those divisions, let's go with divisions or jobs to do. One of the practices that every army soldier will learn to this day is called stand to. And that's when you go out and you hold the line, form a perimeter before sunlight. And you dare not light a fire or a flashlight. You are to remain in the dark. Light discipline. And the only person that can give the command to let there be light is the commander, the guy in charge. You didn't have flashlights back in the day. You had a guy carrying a torch, the acolyte. Since those acolytes were needed in the upper echelons of the higher ranks, they had to learn to keep their mouths shut. So they became enlightened to what was going on when the commanders had schemes and plans and battle works going on that they needed to keep secret. These members of the Illuminati were the ones on the inside that knew what was going on, and they were the torchbearers, the acolytes, the illumined ones. They mocked Jesus Christ for saying he was the Son of God. And that's because he was the son of one of the Roman emperors. I don't know which. I have my suspicions that it was Julius Caesar, since he was the one that was betrayed and stabbed in the back. But I don't know. Caesar was quite narcissistic. He even named July after himself. And he was sleeping with something about he's sleeping with the wives of other men. Anyhow. Caesar was the Godhead, the God here on earth. This comes from the word Gog and Magog, which you can find in the Nag Hammadi text. Nag Hammadi. You have the Jews, which do not believe in the Roman gods. They have their own way of believing. They never believed in Christ being the Son of God. If you were the offspring of the citizens of a Roman, that made you a Roman citizen, and you had different rights. You had laws that protected you as a Roman citizen, like Americans do today. Even though you've left the country, our country will, in fact, stand up for you if you find yourself in trouble in another country. However, it was against the law to proclaim yourself as a Roman citizen if you weren't. Caesar found a virgin and got her pregnant. That child was then watched over. The woman was watched over until she gave birth. And then 3 wise men did appear because they wanted to make sure it was Caesar, in fact, Caesar's child. Early in the life of Christ, he was taken and educated in Rome. All roads lead to Rome. Almost like home, or almost heaven, West Virginia. It was almost, there was no place like Rome. It's the original statement. Because there wasn't. Rome was heaven here on earth. No place would look like Rome. You could have statues built to you in Rome. You would live forever in heaven or in Rome. But Rome was considered to be the most advanced place because it was. And they also felt it was their duty to try to educate the rest of the world from their ways of belief, their Moloch or lack of God belief systems. But you had people that always rebelled. When Jesus returned back to his people, his teachings began late in his 20s, and he begins to teach people how to fish. He begins to teach people how to read. And he begins to teach people how to write. He teaches them how to turn water into wine with yeast and berries, right? Some hooch. He's quite popular, but because of that, as people are becoming more and more aware that the stories that the people that they have been listening to from the rabbis are not true, and he continues to say, they're like, how do you know all this? And he's like, well, I'm the son of God, right? Son of Rome. And I don't believe that he was supposed to tell. Who knows? But he hung on a cross, and they kept him alive, and he was punished for the whole matter. And then when they pretended that he killed him, they brought him down, and that really united the people again. Everybody became united under Jesus Christ. And later, by the time you get to Constantine, you see that the spread of Christianity has gotten so large that it's actually going to be easier for Rome to just accept Christianity, because people really enjoy that story about how anybody can move up within the Roman Empire, and that anybody can become a ruler, because all things were possible through Christ, and Christ became to sit on the right hand of God the Father, and that meant that he was become a ruler over these people. They were able to conquer. And that's why we have the story It was a means of Roman conquering, just like the previous time when with Moses and the chapter of Exodus. So it's a moment where Rome conquered another nation. However, Rome has expanded at that point and has moved over to Constantinople or Istanbul, and over there you got a bunch of people who are followers of Nimrod and Ishtar. And Ishtar is where we get Mother Nature and where we hide Easter eggs. Okay? Ishtar's eggs. Ishtar was a bird woman, and she flew all around the planet laying her eggs, in the spring. And Nimrod and Ishtar have a son named Tammuz, and Tammuz has a pet rabbit. And for fun, Tammuz would help his mother, would help hide her eggs. And what you're really hearing is a story of agriculture. It wasn't eggs. They associated eggs and how life burst from an egg, from a bird, and a seed would burst into, the trees and life here on Earth. They made this connection, and it was Mother Nature, and it was your mother who restored life was the resurrection. Your mother was the resurrection. So we have a problem now with Christ being the resurrection and your mother being the resurrection. And since both of them were important to those at the time, they put both of them on the same day and worshiped each of them on the same day so that there wouldn't be another division within the Roman Empire. Now, those stories have been twisted since then. The story of the war in heaven is actually the same story of Adam and Eve, the oldest story in the book. Lucifer was one of the enlightened, one of the angels that was responsible for he stood beside Caesar. And the point being here is that he was probably a general, and Caesar was going into the Garden of Eden where he had these captive children or kids or whoever, I don't know, and was telling them that they were gods, that he was a god, and that he created Eve from the rib of Adam, which is an erect penis, and Lucifer confronted him, saying that Eve should know the truth about that he weren't gods and where life came from. And God became angry. Later, when Caesar was not around, Lucifer goes back into the Garden of Eden and tells Eve the truth. Now, I suspect that he was also attracted to Eve. I don't know. But remember, he was a snake. The sneaky son of a bitch went back into the garden and betrayed, because he becomes Satan, the betrayer, to never be and cast out of heaven, Rome, forever to walk the blazing earth, North Africa. And a third of the angels sided with Lucifer because they were tired of Caesar trying to tell these people that he was God. Again, I believe this probably all goes right back to possibly Julius Caesar, but I don't know. Since the book in the Bible also has Christ talking to Satan later, I still think this is all around the same time frame. All right, so there's the stories of the Bible. The information's there if you choose to see it. Again, I believe in Christian values. I do. Christian morality. But I'm not going to allow you to push me into a situation where we're going to continue to brainwash people again. And that's what has been happening since forever. This Q movement and the entire matter of it, how many of you have been out there listening to this brainwashing going on and making connections and putting two and two together where, it's a big far stretch. I'm guilty of it too. This type of misinformation and then overload is how they push the general public into a narrative. This is the controlling of the narrative. And you see it being done on every means available. Through social platforms, YouTube or Facebook, Twitter. The more power, the more intensity you get into it. Right? You feel that? You get in there, you get in somebody's gourd, like, oh my God, what the fuck is going on with this dude? And you can really stir emotions because you get the amygdala activated. Once the amygdala is activated, this fight, flight, freeze mechanism shows up. And then all of a sudden here you are in a defense or an offense mode or a freeze mode. And, you pay attention. You got your attention now, don't I? And then you have, and it's great when you have somebody standing right beside them echoing, like there's somebody here with me coming right at you with it over and over and over and over and over and over. Repeat it and 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 repeat it. And you'll be like, all right, man, all right, I give up. I just don't want to hear it anymore. Just go away. And that is the point. If you haven't figured this out yet, that is the point. They keep hammering you. And if you step out of line, then you're isolated, you're harassed, you are persecuted, prosecuted, placed in a hyper state of or a constant state of hypervigilance, and shame you, shun you. This is death by 1,000 cuts. Dangle promises in front of you, whether they're fake or real or fail forward. What the fuck is that? And it's more powerful to forgive everybody that they fucked your wife. What? I forgive so that I can move on. But fuck you. All right? And if that's some sort of twisted forgiveness and justice or whatever, I want justice. Fuck you. You hurt my feelings. Bad. Forever hurt my fucking feelings. Emasculated me. I never moved on. You twisted the whole damn matter. And then you got my fucking wife to side with you, causing a bigger fucking division between me. Fuck you, you fat bastard. You know who the fuck I'm talking about. Now, I hear you out there. You've just got a 40,000 foot view and wondering what the hell this crazy old man on the fucking TV or the YouTube or your phone or whatever the hell is talking about. Some of you get it. And for those of you that are, I want to apologize for my language. I do. Pretty nice fellow here. I'm not an angry guy. Well, that comes out of disappointment. Let's talk about complex trauma. childhood post-traumatic stress disorder. I was molested as a kid. My brother from my oldest brother on my mother took me camping around 4 or 5 years old, and really got me. We walked around for a few miles. I mean, I'm just a little boy. Got me pretty damn tired, and then we had something to eat. I think, I don't know, there was a place where my family, um, yeah, an uncle and his wife owned, and anyway, there was a garden, and we ate some of the vegetables and freed a groundhog that had been trying to get into the garden, which was probably pretty cruel. Should have just killed it, but my brother was too much of a anyway. There's another way to say it. He was a coward. And it's not. I do and do not forgive the guy. Um, he anyway. We went back to the tent, or it was come time to go to bed, and we were watching the sky. And I believe, if I'm correct, we saw a shooting star. Or maybe he saw one and I didn't see it, and who knows? It's been 45 years ago. I'm guessing I'm around 5 years old when this happens. But he tells me, "Do you want to know how God wants brothers to love each other?" And being a little boy that was going to Sunday school every Sunday, and of course, I said yes. And he proceeded to, have me suck his dick. And that incident led from that point forward to me bedwetting all the way into my puberty, up until in puberty. It wasn't until actually around I was 14 years old, and I was finally having sex with girls, and one in particular was absolutely critical because she was actually patient enough with me. I would always have such anxiety that I would have erectile dysfunction right off the bat from anxiety. But she was patient enough to allow that to calm down, and then we had sex, and from that, and then after two or three different after the second one, where it was more acceptable and way less traumatic. Not that the first one was traumatic. I was just having personal issues. But after that, then I finally stopped wetting the bed. Whatever has taken place inside my anatomy, as far as this anxiety and the hippocampus, has me wired to, and not, when my amygdala is triggered, I just freeze up. I'm paralyzed. The more times you stimulate that, and over and over and over and over and over, it just locks me up even more and more and more and more and more. Now, you're talking about this neuro pruning, and I'm not saying that doesn't eventually start to wear in there, but if something good doesn't actually take place from all this, and I go back to, this all happens anyway, well, then it's just gonna, all this has been for nothing, because it'll be it'll be the confirmation that I needed, that I shouldn't have trusted you son of a bitches to begin with. I believe that I was given some kind of the sexual abuse. I was an STD was given to me because um, I got severe strep throat, and I remember a conversation between my mother and Ruth McDaniel. God bless you, Ruth. God bless you. God bless you too, Mom. That I remember my mother saying that the doctor told her that if he didn't know any better, that he would have thought that it was an STD. And I remember asking, "What's an STD?" And she said, "Never mind. You go in your other go in another room." Now, that was my mother's answers for things. But of course, I was a pretty young kid. Anyhow, I developed that strep throat, and every year without fail, I would go to school for 2 to 3 weeks, and bam, strep throat would hit me, right after Labor Day. And my mom kept blaming her on this water battle, saying, "Don't throw water on my kid." Well, it didn't matter. It was some sort of recurring illness that was coming every single year, and I'm not sure how many times. It happened a lot. It happened a lot. So I said, I do and do not forgive that guy, my brother. I have nothing to say to him. If he wanted to admit what he did, and how I'm positive that he's done it to other kids, then possibly we could talk more about, or we could try to establish some sort of relationship where we could speak to one another. But he's not interested in going to do that. He's too far down the pedophile list there to to ever come clean. I'm assuming anyhow. I don't think that. Anyway, the reason I say I sort of forgive him is because it turns out that this sexual abuse was also done to my mother by her brother, and that byproduct of that abuse was my oldest brother. And of course, my family is pretty upset about those words. They're like, "I have no proof," and la 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 la. But I do have proof, because before my mother passed away, um, upon me confronting Jim after, I guess I was 35 years old, I said, "Yeah, I finally, no, it was older than that, 40, around 40 something. Um, I finally confronted him over what had happened." But, of course, I've got the, remember, don't remember, don't remember, don't, that kind of, the suppression of memories happening from going back and forth. But it was an encounter with my grandson, my nephew, that triggered the whole matter again, and his behavior. And I saw myself in that kid. So I can't help but wonder, his own grandchild. But he's pretty twisted and gone, And for any of you who say, all right, we're going to get back to my mother here for real quick. I asked my mother, "Mom, did that happen to you?" And she was hesitant, and I repeated it and said, "Mom, did that happen to you?" And she looked up at me and said, "Yes." And for the first time in my life, here my mother is on dialysis and at the end of her life, and I could see right